Hey everybody, welcome to Movie Club Mind Blower. We have a new setup today.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Inspired by the Snyder Cut episode, which is doing Snyder Cut numbers, we've decided to reunite in person for another special episode of Movie Club.
Yeah.
Where we will be having an in-person discussion. Today's movie is a Shawn pick.
Actually, it's a Rocco pick.
Wait, Rocco picked this movie?
Yes,
Rocco
I
picked
did.
this movie. Yeah.
Today's movie is a Rocco pick. Rocco, would you like to introduce this film?
This was probably the only nominated movie that I watched. If we're talking Oscar season, this was the only one I had seen, I think. I watched half of Mank and fell asleep. So Sound of Metal was the choice, and I actually got something out of it. I felt like, for a while there, we had been chained to these HBO Max debuts.
Right.
And now, no longer. We break out.
Yeah.
We broke free.
Sorry, 400 Blows, but your HBO Max debut did not impress us.
It was on HBO Max.
Today,
does
we
count.
are doing Sound of Metal, not to be confused with Sound of Music.
Which I've called it many times by accident.
Yeah.
I think all week we were saying that.
One of them has Nazis, the other has sign language. You'll have to watch both movies to find out which is which.
Yeah, one of them has Nazis, the other one has not hears. That's a thinker for the intellectuals
That's
out there.
definitely a thinker.
I want to apologize in advance to all of the handicapped people that practice ASL that were offended by Rocco's joke.
Yeah.
I was making fun of Nazis.
I don't know if you guys heard it or if this episode is subtitled, but
Yeah.
I'll convey the offense to you
making
later.
fun of the Nazis. It's okay.
Okay.
Anyway.
So, Sound of Music.
Metal.
Fuck, I just did it. Sound of Metal.
It's been happening all week.
Yeah.
It's an Oscar-nominated movie about this guy named Ruben, who is a drummer for a band called Black Gammon, and he basically loses his hearing and has to come to terms with his whole life collapsing because his life is as a musician is based all around his ability to hear. It's an auditory lifestyle, so it's a devastating event to occur. It's a sad movie.
It is a sad movie, and I went on the podcast and I was like, I don't want to watch sad movies. I'm done with that. And what a dumb statement. Obviously, that was not the right thing to say. But I wasn't ready for heavy movies. And then I watched this movie and I was like, yes, I am. This movie was fucking great. Like, what am I saying? Like, I had no plan on watching this movie. Like, oh, that sounds like a problem. No, thank you. And then I watched this movie like, yeah, it was a problem, but the way it was solved was, I loved it. So, what am I talking about not wanting to watch these movies? So maybe I should go back and watch the movies I said I'm not going to watch. Maybe.
Yeah, I like this. I saw this movie earlier this year on Amazon
Prime. It's
Amazon
exclusive,
Video.
I think.
Yeah, they were the ones who distributed it. Long before it was nominated, I really enjoyed it. I felt like the movie opens kind of like a horror movie.
Yeah.
Almost like a body horror movie, like the movie Buried or Buried Alive, where I think Ryan Reynolds is
Buried.
is buried in a
That
coffin.
movie is gnarly.
Or there's another movie called Awake, where a guy goes under surgery and he can't move, but he's mentally aware of all of it.
Whoa.
I haven't seen that one.
Damn,
actually.
dude.
Yeah,
That
there's a
sounds gnarly.
certain brand of horror film which is like one guy in a shitty situation and you live it with him.
Yeah.
And this movie, to me, starts off like one of those horror movies. It's this metal drummer, and then one day out of nowhere, he gets tinnitus, just like a ringing in his ear. And then just like everything is muffled after that. Have you guys ever had tinnitus? Has that ever stricken you?
What do you mean? Like, what, with the ringing in my ear? All of a
Like,
sudden?
I have been sitting at my computer late at night, just browsing the internet, and all of a sudden it'll be like,
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
and I have a ringing in my ear, and it feels like I can hear less well out of one ear.
Yes.
It's very uncomfortable.
I have had that. When I was a kid, I had a lot of ear troubles. I had so many ear infections that they had to do surgery on my ears and give me tubes and stuff.
Yeah, I had to do that too.
I couldn't. My dad says he has this memory of me in a crib holding on to while they were wheeling me away back into surgery. And I had to wear these earplugs. I couldn't get them wet because if I got the tubes wet, then I'd be all fucked up. It was a whole thing.
Oh my God.
So I'm not saying like I remember most of this, but I do remember like the earplugs and stuff like that. So when this happened, I was like, dude, man, this could have been me, or this still could, I guess. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was messed up.
Yeah, so what do you do if you are just a young 20-something-year-old guy and you lose your hearing one day? That's kind of the premise of this movie. Ruben tries to hide it from his girlfriend Lou. They play together in a band, and they're touring. They're poor, so they live out of an RV, and they have gigs coming up. If you're living the gig life, you're probably living show to show, maybe getting a couple $100 per show. So you can't really stop.
Right.
Because if you give up that lifestyle, it's
Then
over.
you're screwed. Yeah.
So that's his conflict. Ruben goes to kind of get help at a pharmacy, which is this really the whole beginning of the movie is really uncomfortable when he's trying to hide this affliction
and
from
you know
everybody.
what I thought was interesting with that part was like they show them, but when he has his hearing and he's talking to her like nonstop, and they're just having conversations and like super like tight, and then all of a sudden like he's just folding shirts and then boom, it's just gone. But like he doesn't tell her.
Yeah.
And then it's like not until the next show, I think the next show, where he tells her, and it's like, how did she not figure this out earlier? That's my one thought with the movie. It's like, I don't get that. Like you just like faked it. Like you couldn't hear anything.
He's really good at lying.
I guess so.
Ruben the character is a recovering drug addict, and I think that there is an underlying theme in this movie of addiction and addiction recovery and dealing with addicts. And so, she may get the feeling that something is wrong with him, but she
Right.
doesn't know what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
And later on, she even wonders, like, oh, is he doing drugs again? Like, he's keeping something from me.
Yeah.
But typically,
Yeah.
people who suffer from these addictions are very good at hiding
Yeah. And
their problems.
Yeah.
they did a really good job of instantly showing you who the characters were. I thought like the drummer, he's drumming and like he has a tattoo on his chest. It's like, please kill me. It's like, obviously this guy is like a little
Been through some
unhinged.
stuff, yeah.
And then like, without even knowing anything about him, I saw that and like, okay, this guy's a little fucked up.
Yeah.
And then like you see the girl for the first time. What was her name again? I'm sorry.
Lou.
For the first time. And you see like all like the cuts on her arm. So it's like, okay, she's going through things as well. Like you can already see like, without saying a word, I already knew who these characters were, or at least something about them.
Yeah.
Definitely. So the tattoo on his chest that says, please kill me, is a reference to Richard Hell. For anybody who's interested out there, Richard Hell played in a lot of punk bands like Television and a couple other prolific bands, and is basically credited with developing the look of punk rock. The spiky hair, the ripped clothes, the denim. And Please Kill Me is some sort of prolific message in his catalog. I was reading about Richard Hell and how they kind of based Ruben's look off of him. And in those early scenes when Ruben loses his hearing, they actually had the actor Riz Ahmed put deep cochlear implants into his ear canal, which would play white noise.
Oh,
And he said he couldn't hear anything, including the sound of his own voice.
Whoa.
And then when they would film those scenes with Lou, his girlfriend, she was never aware of what he could and could not hear.
Oh, wow.
And she
Whoa.
was never told by the director which parts of the conversation would end up in the movie. So she's like, I basically had to have these conversations with him, not knowing who I was talking to or what part of the story we were conveying.
Damn.
That's so interesting.
So, yeah, the actor Riz Ahmed had to go around just basically with these implants. I don't know if I would do it if I was making a movie like this, but that just sounds extremely uncomfortable. And something that,
Well, I
if
mean,
you have a phobia of stuff going in your ears, it's a deal breaker.
after I saw it, obviously I saw that, he didn't win the best actor. I mean, because I think Anthony Hopkins won or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was like, he had to be nominated, right? And he was, because it's like, dude, the dude spent 6 months learning how to drum for this.
Yeah.
He learned ASL for this. He put those implants in. It's like, yo, this guy went like full on to get this right.
He had 7 months to prepare for this movie.
Wow.
Which, what are you doing for 7 months to prepare for this movie? Not talking and learning how to drum. I could teach you how to drum in 7 weeks. Drumming is not a complicated instrument. You have 2 sticks and you hit stuff.
Well, I was thinking, it's like, yo, I've been practicing drumming by myself and I'm just as bad as when I first started. Like, I don't feel like I've improved really at all. And it's like this guy had the fucking dream gig where he got to learn how to drum and he was getting paid to do it.
You know, I think about that stuff all the time when, you know, I remember when 300 came out and they were like, you know, what's the main guy? The
Leonidas.
actor?
Gerard Butler.
Gerard Butler. I remember they were like, dude, he was in the gym just, 6 hours a day. And that was it. And I was like, my gut reaction was, oh, I couldn't do that. And then I was like, but if someone was paying me $1 million to be at the gym every day for 6 hours, I would do it if that was my full-time job. So
That's
how do I work that out?
Mac from It's Always Sunny in
Rob
Philadelphia.
McKinney.
Yeah.
He got really buff for that show.
Yeah.
And he said, like, it's easy to get buff. Just exercise and watch your diet and have a personal trainer paid for by a studio that's going to monitor you for 8 months and make sure that you get paid well and taken care of to get super buff. It's easy.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to say about this opening part of the movie, when it started, I'm a fan of this kind of music, metal in general, and I thought the music kind of sucked personally.
I thought it sucked too.
Yeah. But then I found out that the band in this movie, this couple and this whole movie in general is based off of a real life band and another movie.
Oh.
So here's the story of how this idea came to be. The director of this movie, this is his first film that he's directed, but he previously wrote a film called The Place Beyond the Pines, which stars Ryan Reynolds. It's an awesome movie. Maybe we should watch it on Movie Club. That director, the director of that movie, originally had a movie called Metalhead, based off of a real-life band called Jucifer.
Oh.
And that is basically the same movie as this one. It's the whole idea that they're filming Jucifer, which is a guy and a girl metal band, and the drummer loses his hearing and has to come to terms with it. That movie was being made in 2009, but kind of just ran out of steam. It was an independent film. And then this guy made real movies, got famous, and talked to the guy who made this movie, basically said, take my idea and make a real movie out of it.
Huh. Interesting.
So even though I thought that, the music wasn't my forte in this film, I looked up Jucifer, the band that this is based off of, and it sounds exactly the same.
Oh, well, there you go. And I read that the actress who played Lulu wrote the lyrics for this. She wrote the song or something. It made it a little more personal. But I thought it did suck. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I actually think it's funny because those two actors had to perform that show live in a nightclub for a real audience. They didn't know they were filming a movie.
Oh my God.
And so they were nervous about it. But I just felt like we've performed live. Who cares? And by the way, you sucked. So I guess now we all caught your worst nightmare on film.
I mean, I do feel like if I had to go in front of, because we go in front of a crowd, it's friendly to us. They know who we are, at least, or even they have a general idea of what we're about.
Yeah.
But that's I'm going to a metal show. I don't know this band. I'll check them out, and it's oh yeah, they fucking suck.
Yeah. But
I'm gonna be a lot less nice about it.
I've been to so many shows with the opening band that sucked, and it's I'm gonna get another drink and go on with my night. Nobody cares. Somebody goes, I'm gonna find that band and fucking tell them how much they suck. Nobody cares.
Right.
It's funny you mentioned though performing our show live because that for me that was when I experienced the tinnitus thing. For some reason our first LA show that we did, I had that happen a couple times. During the show, it was dude, and it's why is this happening now?
Oh my God,
dude. That first LA show we did in the middle of the show, this has never happened to me before or since in my life. I got a debilitating foot cramp.
Really?
In the middle of that show, my foot and my toes started seizing up and curling up, and
I didn't know
hurt
that.
so fucking bad.
Wow.
And I was on stage oh my God, what do I do? And I started stepping on my foot, trying to work the cramp out.
What the fuck?
I don't know what we were doing, but I ran backstage and took my shoe off and started
I didn't know
massaging
that.
my foot like a maniac and just thinking it's our first stage show. Why the fuck am I getting a foot cramp right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really weird. I was on stage during Love Doctor. I was just standing there and then it's what the
Yeah, that's not even a loud part of the show.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It wasn't like I got blasted by a speaker or something. So anyway, it's just funny you mentioned
Wow.
The show must go on.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, eventually Lou finds out that Ruben he can't hear anything, and she is concerned that he is so depressed that he's going to go back to drugs. So he calls his sponsor, and the sponsor and Lou convince Ruben to check into a shelter for deaf recovering drug addicts, which is a highly specific
That's very
industry
specific,
to be
yeah.
in, but This is why I like movies like this, because I didn't know such a place existed.
Yeah.
Of course it would exist. I just never thought about it.
Right.
And he meets the director of the program, a guy named Joe, who steals the show in this movie.
Completely agree.
Yeah, he was nominated too.
Was he? And
And he won.
Oh, he did he win?
I think he won for Best Supporting Actor.
Oh.
Man, I watched the Oscars. I can't even remember.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I hope he won. I hope you're
I
right.
can't remember.
Yeah, I truly don't know, so I believe you. Yeah, that guy, apparently, I don't know much about him, but I thought he just did like shitty B movies until this one. Like, he hasn't really had like a main, because I hadn't really seen him before. I don't know if you guys have.
No, but I found some information on him, and his name is
Paul Raci?
Yeah, Paul Raci, and he's not actually deaf, but he is the children of deaf parents, or a child of deaf adults, known as a coda.
Oh.
And so he is a hearing person who grew up with deaf parents, and he happens to be, when he's not acting and getting nominated for Oscars, the lead singer of a Black Sabbath tribute band called Hands of Doom ASL Rock.
Whoa.
Now, ladies and gentlemen,
Whoa.
yes, there are videos of Hands of Doom ASL Rock
I gotta check those out.
performing live.
Yeah.
Yes, I found their Facebook page and looked it up. No, it's not as cool as you think it is.
Oh.
Yes, it is extremely dorky. But it's also wholesome, and it's so funny how Black Sabbath has gone all around the world to being wholesome to me. Like when I see a bunch of old dudes singing a Black Sabbath song in a tribute band, I don't think like, ooh, devil worshippers, wow, fucked
No.
up. Oh, killing animals and titties. I think, oh, old dudes, ooh, nice rock, yeah, oh. Yeah, my grandpa and my dad would like this. You know what I mean? It kind of has that vibe. So he, in Hands of Doom, if you look up the video, plays like a Dio. He's more Dio than Ozzy.
Sure,
you know?
sure.
He kind of has the long hair, and he does the ASL while he sings along.
That's dope.
To the Black Sabbath
That's so
lyrics.
cool.
And I'm going to say, you have to watch the video for just this. And I don't know anything about ASL, and I swear to God, I'm not making this up. This is fucking real.
Okay.
He does this move throughout the performance.
Whoa. I don't know.
What is that in ASL? I don't know. He does it over and over.
I took 2 semesters of ASL in college.
It's like
I don't know what that
he
is.
makes his hands this big.
That's pretty big.
and
Yeah.
he like,
Fuck the tuna can.
is it that, or is it riding the pole, or is it huge dong? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. Look up the video. The band is called Hands of Doom, ASL Rock. The lead singer is Paul Raci.
That's cool. It seemed to me when watching this movie, like this guy was born to play this role. And like even like what you're telling me here, like how he had 2 deaf parents and like, you know, like it just seems like, yeah, this guy was like, I don't know if the movie was written for him, but it might as well have been because like he nailed it. So good for this.
You know, and that's the thing about being an actor. When you're a kid and you think like, oh, being an actor would be fun, you look at movie stars and then you think like, can I do that? Like, am I right to be, you know, I'm not Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm not going to star in Jurassic Park. But the truth about being an actor is anybody can be an actor because there's a role for everybody. And it really is, are you right for the role? You know, Paul Raci may not be the world's greatest actor. He may not be able to be the star of Jurassic World. That would probably suck. But in this role, there's nobody better.
Right.
And he maybe was born to play this role. So if you want to be an actor out there and you don't have the look, just find the role that's perfect for you.
And honestly, Jurassic World wouldn't be any worse with him in the lead either.
Well, there you go.
It might
You
not
know.
be. It might
Sorry,
not be better,
Chris.
but it wouldn't be worse.
You know, Paul Raci starring in Fast 9. Is he going to pull that off? Actually, I would love to see
Yeah,
this
I would
guy.
maybe. I don't know.
Transition.
See, I think
I
we
kind of
defeated you.
like I'd see this
on
guy in
one.
anything he does. I really enjoyed him.
Well, then you'd see how sucky he might actually truly be.
New Bond.
Yeah.
So, you know, Ruben is a metalhead. He's a drug addict. He's in this recovery program, and the movie kind of takes a turn here, a predictable turn, where the program is very wholesome. He gets introduced into some classes with children so he can learn sign language. The real actor, Riz Ahmed, spent 7 months actually learning ASL, which is like learning a second language. Not only a language, but like being introduced into a new culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's super enriching. Good for him.
Yeah. And I read that some of the stuff like with the kids were improvised. Like it wasn't like that wasn't written. It was like him drumming and doing all the stuff with them is like that was really him doing that.
Wow.
That's cool.
With them. So I thought that was really cool where it's like, yeah, like 4 months ago you couldn't have talked to these kids, but now you're like fucking around with them and like improvising with them. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like awesome.
It was a low budget movie technically, and so they had 7 months, I guess, to prepare, but they only had 4 weeks to shoot this thing.
Wow.
So
Oh, wow.
They
I didn't
filmed
know
this
that.
in 4 weeks, 1 month.
Damn.
They shot all this. As the movie goes on, Ruben really wants to get cochlear implants. And there's an early scene in the movie where he goes to a doctor and the doctor explains your insurance doesn't cover this and it's very expensive.
Which that blew my mind. That insurance would not cover
Well,
that.
you know what though? It does, but also doesn't make total sense. Like, of course, insurance wouldn't cover that. Insurance is the fucking worst. Like, why would it cover that?
That was like...
Side note, according to IMDb's trivia page, insurance does cover cochlear implants.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's specifically under like Medicare for All and Obamacare. It is explicitly like, yeah, this is the standard treatment for nerve damage in your ear.
Well,
it is covered.
I feel like I was
So,
lied to.
Yeah, either the movie gets it wrong or this guy's a fucking drug addict and doesn't even know shit about shit. Wait, no, it's the doctor who told him.
Yeah, she
it
tells
wasn't
them, and they
covered.
are not... She explicitly says they're not covered by insurance.
Well,
Well, bad doctor then.
Yeah.
Or the trivia section on IMDb is bullshit. One or the
Maybe.
other, but I highly doubt that.
When did this movie take place? Because it could have been before
Yeah.
Obamacare.
See, I thought stuff like this, wasn't covered back then, but is now maybe, or I
Who
don't know.
knows?
Well, food for thought.
Yeah.
So, Ruben, he stays at the recovery program and he's sponsored by a church. But when his sponsorship runs out, they give him an opportunity to stay there if he becomes a teacher.
What? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna bring this up, and I thought this was when you first meet. I don't remember Paul Racy's character's name. Joe. I thought it was very interesting, and like it obviously pays off later. But he says like being deaf is not a disability. We don't consider it that, and so like those implants, we don't like them. Like that is not something that we are interested in.
Yeah, that's not the MO of their community.
Right.
Is-
Like
is
we don't
repair.
believe that we have a problem
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So just whatever.
Yeah, and he keeps track on his ex-girlfriend, and she's moving on with her music, and he's very much in a rush to get back to normal. And that's kind of what this whole movie is about, by the way. This guy's in a fucking rush to get back to normal. Doesn't realize that might never happen.
Right.
And so time and again, he's like, yeah, just fix me up. Just give me, tell me what I got to do to get out of here. And they're like, bro, go to your room and write in your journal. And he's like, I don't want to fucking do that. Okay, just give me what I need. And so that's like a big theme of this movie. At this point in the movie, he starts selling his old music equipment and selling his old RV and basically selling everything that he valued in his old life so that he could afford the cochlear implants so that he could get back to normal quickly. He gets the cochlear implants, but after the surgery, he has to wait before they can be turned on. He has to like heal up a little bit. So he goes back to Joe. In one conversation, final conversation, he tells him what he's done, and he says, I want to borrow some money so I can buy my music equipment back so that when the cochlear implants turn on, I can get back to work and I'll pay you back. And Joe says my favorite line in this movie, which has really affected me because I think it's such a powerful line. He says, I don't know what you're going through, but from where I'm sitting, you look like an addict.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's really interesting because, this guy is an addict.
Mm-hmm. And he's acting like it in that moment too. The way he's talking, it's not about drugs, but it also is exactly how they would talk about drugs.
Yeah, he's addicted to his life.
Almost hearing, maybe.
Yeah, he's addicted to hearing. And for me, why it was so powerful, it was such a revelatory moment in the movie because it's like you can be addicted to things that aren't what society would consider bad. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if you're addicted to crack cocaine or you're an alcoholic, you're an addict and you need treatment. But this guy has a bigger issue of just self-destructive behavior because he can't give up things when it's time to give them up. Mm-hmm. And there's a larger story there. And that to me was kind of the big lesson of this whole movie. And why I honestly feel like this movie and that guy was nominated for an actor was all like in that scene. I felt like it was such a powerful moment, just wrapped up into such a precise line. Really effective, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And not even, I mean, you're talking, and obviously, yeah, addiction is like you were just saying, that's all in there. but even just like, how do you like symbolically noise? Like you almost like people almost fill their life with noise to avoid certain things.
I mean, always personally have noise on.
Yeah.
I wake up in the middle of the night and the TV is off. I turn on something to listen to.
Yeah.
Because I need to fall asleep I need to have noise at all times.
Yeah. So like literally, but then also like metaphorically, you know what I mean? Like
Sure.
you fill your life with all these things. And I just thought this was a beautiful story about inner peace. You know what I mean? Like
totally.
trying to find like, let the quiet
And
just be there.
I don't want to turn this all political and whatever, but I do think it's very poignant with this past year and all the drama going on in America about people who are like, we got to get back to normal. And, I don't like the vaccine. I don't like the mask. This movie reminds me of it because I feel like there's so many Rubens in the world out there that can't just accept the situation for what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's this big rush to like, hey, just give me what I got to do, and I got to get back to normal because I got shows to get to and I got work to get to, and my girlfriend's leaving me. And it's like, you are in an extreme situation.
Yeah.
And you need to fundamentally stop and cope with your future.
Yeah.
Like,
That's a
things have
great point.
changed.
It was really like a crazy situation too, because like in 2019, I was doing all kinds of wild shit like every day. And then when everything shut down, I was surprised that like that was like a welcome contrast. It was like, you know what? I need to like sit here and appreciate what I have. And I was surprised how many people I knew older than me, and like family members of mine that were like, went into that mode where it was like, I don't know a world that isn't noisy. I need to like, whatever. And it's like, I don't know. It was interesting seeing who was like that and who wasn't. And this was the perfect movie to come out after all that. You're right. I didn't even think about that.
We are the generation that has always had to adapt quickly.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how
that's a good
we
point.
were always raised.
Yeah.
And so I feel like people below us, like maybe Gen X is a little with us, but like anything below that, it's like, I'm not doing this. Like I can't handle this, but we're like, hey, I'll change in a day. That's fine. I panicked and was freaking out for 2 days at my house, and then I was fine. I mean, I was still freaked out, but you know what I'm saying? Like I understood what's going on.
Yeah.
To speak to that, I totally understand why people freak out, especially when you're older and you feel like, I don't know if I have a year left. I might die.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have 5 years left, And
that's how a lot of my family was.
I had plans and things I wanted to do, and I'm not ready,
Sure.
I, got in this conversation because I was talking about how people who are in 6th grade this year won't be going to 6th grade camp. And it's like, that sucks.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
If you're 10 years old and you missed 6th grade camp, coronavirus robbed you of it. But then also
just do it all outdoors.
People in college were robbed of their graduations.
Totally.
Yeah.
And some people died, some people
Yeah.
were robbed of their future, literally. So I get it. I get the we got to get back to normal and the desire to do that. But I do think that this movie is an artistic reflection on the struggle to do that.
Yeah.
And how hard that is sometimes. And how sometimes, honestly, that's irrational addict behavior, because it's just not the appropriate response.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about it that way. That's really interesting. That's totally like a phenomenal reflection on that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So this is an Oscar-worthy movie. Like, check it out. It's good. It's fucking deep.
But let me tell you, this is pretty good. But that half of Mank that I saw, oh my God, Gary Oldman is laying on the bed, and I don't know. That's where I turned it off.
So this movie continues to get better because then Ruben, he essentially gets kicked out of the house. They tell him, like, this is a place for people who don't think being deaf is a handicap. You can't live here if you have cochlear implants. That's not our lifestyle. So he has to leave. And he goes to live with his ex-girlfriend, Lou, who is in Paris. But before that happens, he gets his implants turned on, which again for me was a mind-blowing scene because I had always assumed if you have hearing aids, you're good.
Yeah, you can hear. I've seen those viral videos of the kid hearing their mom talk for the first time so many times.
Yeah.
And I'm always so touched by it. It's like, oh wow, like they can finally hear. That's amazing. And
but in this movie, they turn the hearing implants on and they fucking suck.
Yeah, it's like that's what it sounds like. Oh my God.
That's funny. That wasn't a surprise for me only because I've seen interviews. This sounds funny, but Paul Stanley from Kiss has talked extensively about I never knew this, that he has a regular ear, and then he had an ear that the canal went in and just closed right here. Like there's nothing, it doesn't go in. Like just skin, like a wall right there.
He always had that?
Yeah,
wow.
since birth. So in the last, I don't know, decade, he finally got, the technology got good that they have those, it's exactly the same thing, those implants. And they installed it where it would conduct off of bone and all that stuff. And he talked about it, and it was exactly how it sound. The way he described it was exactly how it sounded in the movie, where it's like, it's not really hearing. It's, it's bouncing off stuff to kind of give you the gist, but it's not,
It sounds like you're listening to a broken walkie-talkie underwater.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Like a signal is there. It's doing it. Right. But that ain't hearing.
It was just another heartbreaking moment in this movie.
Yeah.
Because he gave everything. He lost his home with those people and those kids, which he seemed to really love doing, the teaching thing. And then all of his band stuff and his van, everything about him, he sold for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it also just brings greater awareness to what it's like to be deaf and to struggle with, impaired hearing, which, okay, maybe this is insensitive, but what kid hasn't gone into the bathroom and tried to take a shower with your eyes off the whole time just to see what it was like to be blind or to do something with your eyes closed the whole time or to just, operate in the complete dark.
Yeah.
And to some effect, even you've maybe plugged your ears and wondered what it would be like to be deaf. I think this movie really gives, a more clear picture of the hardships of it. And it's, I think I did have this assumption that like, if you can get a hearing aid,
You're fine.
Yeah. And that striving to be able to hear is like the normal that people strive for. Like if you lose your hearing, of course you want a hearing aid. That's what I used to think. And now after having watched this movie, I don't know if that's true anymore.
Right.
The hearing aid kind of sucks. And like they say at that recovery center, they don't consider not being able to hear a handicap.
Right.
It's just a different culture.
Yeah.
Right. When I watched this movie, I was watching it. Jenny was working, and I was watching in the living room. So I put on my AirPod Pros to watch it, so I wouldn't bother her while she's working. But the movie ended, and she started talking to me, and had noise cancellation on, and it was like, what the. For 1 millisecond, it was like, what the fuck? Because
Like,
no,
the curse!
Because it really was like
The Sound of Metal curse!
it was like, what's the movie? What's the movie? It was like, what the fuck? Oh my god, Jesus Christ!
Thought you were cosplaying. For a
But
second.
it was like that 1 millisecond was like, fuck this! Like I don't want this.
Yeah. And it goes without saying too. I mean, I don't think you said it, but this movie won the Oscar for sound.
Which it again. I have no idea what it's like to be deaf. I have no idea what it's like to anything. I don't know, but it's like this seemed real to me. This seemed right. Like everything that they made me hear in this movie was like, yeah, this
felt like it could happen.
Yes,
moment.
it could happen, and also like it made me in 2 seconds realize how devastating that would be to my life if this happened to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, the movie was shot in 4 weeks, but the sound design took 23 weeks.
Wow.
Which was longer than the filming or editing.
Yeah.
They were just working on the sound design.
Well, it paid off.
The movie ends. We're going to spoil it now, as we do with every movie club. He goes to visit his girlfriend in Paris and kind of reconnects with her, bonds with her, but attends a party where she performs a song with her dad, and he tries to listen with his implants, and it just isn't really working.
Yeah.
And for this musician who has sacrificed so much to get back to this point, for it not to really be working, what else is there for him to do? He just has to accept it. He has a conversation with his girlfriend, like, we can get back to touring, blah, blah, blah. And she's like awkward. And then I like this moment in the movie too.
Yeah.
Where finally this character has this moment of like, no more bullshit. And he just says like, you know what? Thank you for sticking with me and getting me. And you saved my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is like the second he's bringing it back up, like she starts like doing this, picking at her skin again, and like all this stuff. Like he can see, like, oh, I'm doing this to her.
That was a beautifully executed part.
Yeah.
They didn't go too far or too little during that moment. It was like you see the gears turning. Like, okay, I need to give up on this. What's the cost? And him not doing it. They could have made it. They could have just even a little bit would have made it too cheesy. Where oh man, no, he doesn't play it that way at all. He plays it completely kind and just like, man, thank you. So you saved my life. And in that hug, he knows like,
This is it.
This is goodbye.
This is
That's
it.
You know.
Yeah.
Plays it so well.
He returns to Paris, to noisy Paris street. The cochlear implant sounds like shit. The movie ends with him taking it off, and it's a prolonged shot of him in silence as he just sits there and absorbs the world around him. That's how the movie ends.
Yep.
It was really good.
And
I really liked
honestly,
it.
like I got chills when I watched it. I almost have chills now. Just like, dude, that fucking ending. And it's like truly, it's like I'm dying. Like, what happens next? Like, what happens with this guy? Like, I want to know, but also it's beautiful that you don't. But you know,
That's why they got to do Sound of Metal 2, get the band back together. The boys are back in town.
like in my heart, I hope he goes back to Joe and is able to get his way back into that.
he can't.
No, I think he's.
He
I think-
can't.
But
I think he moved on.
But why couldn't he?
Joe's revenge.
But
Yeah.
that's that ending, him just having, like I said, real inner peace is like couldn't be a better ending for that.
Yeah.
So
So, anyways, that's Sound of Metal. If you haven't seen it, I really recommend you see this one. This was great. This was a really good one.
Let's give it popcorn shakes.
I'm gonna give it. I don't know. It's hard. I'm gonna say 4.5. Like I really loved this movie. I really love this movie.
Nice. Is that the highest rating you've ever given a movie?
I
don't
gave
know.
Princess Bride 5.
Oh,
Oh wow, I didn't realize you gave that 5 out of 5.
I did.
Rocco somehow missed.
Well, you're
that.
too busy calling it a dumb kids movie to
I didn't
hear
say it
my
was a dumb
rating.
kids movie. I said Disney Channel movie, which people love Disney Channel movies.
Anyways,
There's
go.
a lot of beloved ones. Johnny Tsunami.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this 4 popcorn shakes out of 5. Very good, very strong film. Strong contender for the Oscar.
Yeah, for all the reasons that I mentioned, I'm gonna also give it a 4 out of 5. There was the only honestly, I'm trying to think like what are any marks against it, and really for me, in the middle of the movie, I was kind of going like, all right, what that first chunk of the movie is so horrific and so visceral and like, oh my god. I think in the middle when he was at that community, I was kind of like, so what are we gonna pivot this into now? For a little bit, I was kind of like, what's next? All right. But that's barely a diss. I mean, I'm not, it turned into something beautiful. So I really have no complaints. So I'm going to say 4. Yeah. 4. It was a really good
That's-
movie. Great touching movie.
That's a pretty high rating from
That's a
us.
solid 12 or 13. So Sound of
Depending on
Metal,
who you ask.
pretty highly rated by the Mega64 Movie Club. Check it out on Amazon.
I looked into, speaking of the highest ratings, I looked
Yeah.
at, because Derrick, obviously you gave.
Oh yeah, I said last week I want to know how the ratings stack up.
Yeah, was a 5. Actually, someone did make a table of all of our.
Oh,
They did?
where was
that did
posted?
exist. I'll find it. They put it on like Letterboxd or something. I don't remember, but I'll dig it up after this. But
Okay.
yeah, thank you for doing that. And I'll name them next time. But you had not given a 5 before, because we were like, is that your only 5? Prestige had a 4.5. So if you want to roll that up, then that would count. Otherwise, no, it's just that.
All right.
I think the only 5 I've given was Rear Window, which I was surprised. I was surprised I gave that a higher one than Shawn.
I thought you gave Roger Rabbit a 5.
Oh, I might have done that too. Okay, so I've
think
given
you
a
did.
couple. Yeah, you're right.
Anyways,
Next week,
Next
Yeah,
week.
what is next?
we are going to be watching the Great American Western classic, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
never seen that.
Watch it. Paul Newman and Robert Redford have a shootout that lasts 9 hours against each other on a spaceship. It's crazy.
Wow.
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Another HBO Max exclusive CGI, whatever.
Yep.
Guess let's watch it.
Tune in and we'll see you then. Bye.
Oh wait, we can't shut this off. Hey Johnny,
You want me to do it?
could you shut it off?
Oh God.
Oh, was he up there the whole time?
No. Was he up there? He
Oh,
was up
Johnny,
there.
you were up there the whole time?
Were you waiting for us?